types of phenomena appeared. Despite the different category of voidness, if you realize voidness of one phenomenon, then you can understand the voidness of all phenomena. Here, the saying is a little indirect, but it suggests that if we view ourselves as a small universe, and if we know the theory for the formulation of our human being, in other words, if we know all materialistic formulas for maintaining our human form, then we understand that there is no different material for human beings existing outside our universe, but our human form is all part of our universe. So, in other words, it means that we human beings are no special beings. And therefore, even if we look at it in a materialistic form of wall, then we can say that our wall, our body form is a small universe. And if we understand in detail the existence of this small universe, then even if we do not understand the existence of the total universe, we can still understand the existence of our small universe. There is a different existential form for frogs, humans, and also the universe. But the existential form is a little different. Just the karma is a little different, but the theory is all the same. And in this way, we are talking about total equality, and we are also discussing about the essential problems. If you are talking about essential problems, then since everything is based on the relations, nothing is eternal, and in this way, even the voidness is the same. And the existence of human itself is selflessness, and everything is formed by relations, and depending on the relation, it will also disperse. And if you talk about it, then the essential part of it is voidness. And when you are experiencing the voidness, and the deepest voidness is that of not the subjective experience of voidness, but it is the objective experience of voidness through the samatha and vipassana. And through these experiences, and also the study of observation, and when you realize that even though Agni is void, then you can understand that the nature of voidness is all the same. If you do so, then you can understand also the nature of pine tree or animals or even the earth or even rocks or diamonds. They are all, in theory, they are all the same. Even if we say it's a diamond, it does not have eternal form that we can understand from it. And as said here, things existing in this realistic world, everything exists in a diverse form. But even if they exist in all diverse forms, their essence is the same. So the voidness for all this, especially the voidness of I, and if So you can understand that agony and also our desire is wrong. But the essential part is that if you understand the voidness, if you understand the voidness of your agony, then you can understand all other existences too. And there's no need to understand all voidness. And even when we are practicing our samantha, and some achieve samantha by prayers or debate or meditation, if they are not all the same, then it is wrong. So if it's only possible by the spoken phrase, and if it's not possible through the interaction with the teacher, then it is a wrong samantha. The samantha gets achieved by different samanthas, and everything can become, all of them can become the concentration part of your attention. So we also call them samantha, which can be achieved through that. So if you achieve the voidness of one phenomenon, then you can achieve realization of all voidness. So while prayer and while the spoken phrases, since they do not get achieved, and the other one follows, and the other one follows, and if no matter how many times I say this, it seems like you didn't really understand. Habitually, you follow the same through the teachings. Through the teachings, I have said this numerous times, but when I actually see how you practice, you ask me, I'm praying hard right now, but when should I start meditation? That means you did not understand, and not understanding the speech is a very difficult thing. The speech and the spoken speech and the action should always be the same, because this is something about practice. So when you say, I'm praying, when should I start meditation? Your prayer is actually the meditation when you are concentrating on Kwanseum But in your head, you keep thinking that this is not a meditation, but this is a prayer, and you use the prayer in some other method, and you think praying, you have degraded the level of praying to that of praying for something, and it has become a very bad habit. But when you actually practice meditation, or even thinking about the spoken speeches, and also meditation about Avalokitesvara, then you will understand that there is a same consequence. But you will understand after, in the end, you will understand that there will be one result. And some people say that you just have to meditate and there is no need for rules or orders. And if you say that there is no order, then that is also wrong, because we do not practice the order first and then you start meditation, because it is the law of order for the meditation. So for the meditation, your act of enacting the meditation is your order. So if you say that those people who go who meditate but they do not follow the order, that is a wrong act of meditation, because they are just earning their bread by sitting across legs. This time in Incheon Yongam Monastery, Venerable Songam, he left the Buddhist order, and he has done a very good job. Those people who are into politics, they one day ruin the whole country. Those people who are into politics, we should take out their monk robes and ask them to leave our monastery. How is it possible that they don't listen to someone who is respected by everyone, but instead they try to play the politics? Venerable Songdam is disciple of Venerable Jeonggang, and we say Venerable Jeonggang is the last ascetic of Korean Buddhism, and he's the principal student of Venerable Jeonggang. And since he was little, he practiced very hard, and for 10 years he did not speak and did meditation and his practice. And if he wanted to take the title, then he could also be the Supreme Patriarch of Order. But despite all these reasons, some people try to obtain titles, and for that they try to do whatever they could on this way, and they spend money and they do everything it takes. But this Venerable Songdam, he's 88 years now. For all his life, he has practiced and he opened meditation centers and he brought up students. And for all his life, he has done that. But in this Buddhist sect, if he's someone who is full of greed, then we don't have to listen to him. But there is no way that our Buddhist order will be ruined if we do not listen to him, because he has lived all his life for the good of all Buddhist believers. This time, when they're trying to elect a head monk, Venerable Songdam requested them to elect someone who is respected by everyone and do not have the vote, but instead try to gain by majority. And by that, they elected someone, but there was another person who was full of greed and spent all the money and smoking, drinking. He paid them some money and he gained votes, and because he became the head monk of that monastery, now there is no reason for Venerable Songdam to remain there. And therefore, Venerable Songdam said, in this monastery, I see no hope, and I think even the monastery will be ruined. And because he chose not even to say that. He just decided to leave the monastery, and he has lived for 88 years. And why would he have anything to be attached of? And those people who has no understanding, they try to also ruin his reputation by raising bad influence. But it is not so. And even all of you, honestly, those people who are into politics and who drink and who live luxurious life, you should please don't give them any money. They should wither away. All our monasteries in Korea are ruined by them. Everyone in that dirty money, even for the money that dogs do not take, they are full of greed. And dogs, because it is not something to eat, because it has got no relation with your greediness, so they don't even take them. With money, nothing is related, not bones, skins, nothing, just the value of greed. We provide the thought of greed, and with that greed, we provide attachment. And if you take away the attachment or the greed, then the money is nothing better than a tissue paper in the bathroom. Because everyone's greed is so strong. In Korea, I believe that there is no active religion except those few old monks and maybe about 3 to 5% of people who study purely. I don't think there is religion. Everything is about money. Everything is everyone is falling into redemption because of money. It is not that they believe in Buddha, but they believe in money and power. That you don't have to look at someone else while living a common life. You should not live a life just because it's a common life. If you want to see more of these dirty acts, you should live like that. If you believe it's okay if you do not suffer from hunger and if you keep striving for a better life, because you do not study hard, as if you are seeing something bad in the night, you behave so. Once when I was coming back from school, it was late. And there were some accidents, and about few people died. And I was very scared. But when I was walking, I saw something white sitting there on the street, and on the sky, I saw something flying, and I thought maybe there is a ghost sitting on the street. But when I came closer, I saw there was a rice sack. It seems like someone was taking it in the trolley, and perhaps it fell off because it is being pulled from the front, and so the rice sack which has fallen was sitting on the street, and because of the wind, the plastic bag was flying. Life is so, like if you are full of greed, then you will see things which are not real. If it is money that you're admiring, then even to the monasteries you'll be looking for money, power, and you will go to monastery praying for more money, and you're not living your life looking for Buddha or respecting Buddha. You're in fact respecting money. So sometimes I feel perhaps it's better to put the money notes in place of Buddha. Then I believe a lot of you will prostrate better. The majority of us live looking for money and not for something else. Or else those people who study, their one leg lies in this part and the other leg is placed somewhere else. And if you think that it is money that is a little beneficial, then you'll be starting on this way. And if it is Buddha that is a little beneficial, then you'll be having your other foot there. So if you're unhappy, then you will not come to monastery, and if you're a little happy, then you will come to monastery. It's just that you're following your benefits. It shouldn't be so, and therefore I keep stressing that do not stand in the border. Do not stand in the border and have your one foot on this way and the other foot on that way. Do not live your life like a bat. And if you study, then just like someone who is studying, you should live your life very clearly. Without it, there's no benefit at all. So I don't want Venerable Songdam to come back to our religious sect. Even if it was me, I would not have returned. Even if it is me, why would I come back? He has spoken it in a very good manner. Because I leave the temple, if you think you have disadvantage, then there is no need for you to be with me. Even Bojoguksa, he said that before, because the king called to the king, he said, I have already left the world, and there's nothing in this world that's for me. My desire for the country is nothing more than giving happiness for the citizens. And he said, He said, "Those disciples who wish to attain the name of my disciples, you should not come and join me. Only those who desire to practice sincerely can become my students." So after meeting Venerable Jeonggang when I was young, I even listened to teachings of Venerable Jeonggang, and I have said a lot of my ideas. And if Venerable Songdam is the student of Venerable Jeonggang, then he will not have then he will not make wrong decisions, and he will not try to gain his reputation back by just giving a few of his ideas. And when an old monk like him says something like that in the temple, in the monastery, then it is almost like a law. There's no need to remain in a place like that. The voidness, the ultimate nature, voidness of all phenomena, it is not the same characteristics which can be categorized into one taste. All ultimate nature of all phenomena are basically the same in sense of voidness. When you say the agni has detached us or left us, then my hurt of agony and my hurt of desire, all the misunderstandings has disappears. So when I say if I have this much of greed, then when you're looking at the opponent or object, by looking at them, your heart keeps changing. Your heart keeps changing because you are following the desire. Because it's being broadcasted, I'm going to say about 2 to 4 days, I got a call in the morning, and she said she goes to church, and because of her child died, she wanted to have a prayer in the monastery. It's not like she wanted to do the ceremony or offering of 49th day after the death, but she said, "What clothes do I have to burn?" But she was like, "What kind of food do I have to prepare, and what kind of clothes should I burn?" She's just following her desire of affection, and where is the God being placed there? So those kinds of things, even if it's a human of very low level, you should not do that. You should not change depending on the situation and also circumstances. What is a boundary and what is attachment? Those things that you see outside, they are all things which are in opposite to your heart. Even when we are walking on the street, some people see the restaurant, and even if we are seeing at the same restaurant, some people are looking at doenjang stew, and some are looking at fish stew, and some are looking at kimchi stew. That's because it is something that's related to your karma. Those people who are drinking, then no matter how much you try to hide the alcohol bottle, because of their hurt action, they are even able to find the alcohol bottle in the room hidden deep within. And that only happens because your heart is in relation with the alcohol. And all these things which are affecting our heart in this way should disappear. What is attaining the What is attaining the all knowledge? We say the attaining all knowledge is so that even if you're not seeing everything, you're looking at everything and you understand everything. And it is the same as your heart. We call this the same. Here we are talking about the 10 facts of suchness or existence. So 10 facts which are alike, which are such conditions, causes, and also, in other words, we call this 제법실상, and this means come here and look at the reality, look at the facts. By looking at it, do not look at the object as object which is bent due to your opinion, but look at it as it is. So the voidness is the condition where you are able to see or look at it the way it is. So whatever you're looking at, you understand or you will observe that there is nothing eternal in this world, even the earth or even the universe. There's nothing that is eternal in this world, even the diamond. There's nothing in this world which is eternal. And when we say there's nothing eternal, then we also know that there's no characteristic which is eternal, and even in material. So even the water, if we divide it into hydrogen and oxygen, then there's no water. So if you say water is something that exists on its own or from the beginning, then it should be there on Mars or even on Moon or even on other planets, but it is not there. So everything changes because of the condition. But if there is a fact that we are being obsessed to, if we say body is not something, then we should be obsessed. Then we will think that even there is something like mind which doesn't change, and when we will also be obsessed that if it's not here, then there should be something that exists in this world, and we are obsessed about it. Those people who live a very harsh way, then even in external part, money, honor, and even if there is nothing that's related to me at all, at least the skin beneath our finger, we have some feelings when we try to take it out, but money has no feeling at all. But we live our life believing that belongs to mine or that belongs to me. So they can leave us sooner than anything else in this world, and you feel that that's yours, and you feel that that's living you, and because of that you will live a very miserable life. So when you say Korea is a capitalist world, and the material or the capital here is something that substitutes Buddha. So now people's attention belongs somewhere where belongs to the fact that this person has earned that much money, and the person B has earned that much money. And it's also in comedy program that the richest person on this earth, he comes to the TV and say and he will just take it out from the comedy show that, oh, maybe this is about 30 million or 50 million, and that there was a silver necklace, and he says, we also have the silver necklace in our home. So he's so rich that he doesn't even know that there's a silver at his place. His son, because his father didn't listen to him, he said he wants to run away, taking out all money from his savings. And he says, okay, it's fine. How will you run away? If you take out everything, all the money from my bank account, then you need lots of trucks to carry them. Right now, we are not hoping for paradise or heaven, but for us, a paradise is a place where there's a lot of money. So even for temples and church, you try to build in a very luxurious way, and you believe, and as if spending a lot of money building it is like a heaven. You do not try to have Buddha or Jesus in church or monasteries, but you try to obey money, and also for those and also in a lot of temples, the head monks, if there are also people who donate a lot of money, he comes and say, oh, the great person, have you come? It's as if the money is the sutra, and there should be a separate sutra for it. And we can also say that this was a sutra that was written during the time of capitalism. Well, and we can say at this time where there were a lot of greedy rich people, and the Buddha said during the capitalist world, the money is Buddha. If you want to earn a lot of money, you have to cheat others in this way. And in 2014, Korea there was a Sattva who respected money, and his name was Yu Byung-hun. There should be something written like that. And during the same, if you get distorted and the monasteries, we should try to light the path for other people instead of lighting the path for other people and their beliefs. They try to raise money and drive cars worth millions of dollars. There is something that is not, which is not to be considered. It's not like we should not. What I mean is, do not talk about others and do not look at others, but we should try to follow that ourselves. So even for myself, although they are following after money, they also believe that they are actually following Buddha. There are a lot of people who have this kind of misunderstanding, and despite the fact that they say they believe in Buddha, but they are very stingy about even small donations. And I wonder what kind of Buddha they believe in. When we say we believe in Buddha, it means we are following the orders or teachings of Buddha. So about which part of Buddha do you believe in? All phenomenon, all ultimate nature of or phenomenon is same as voidness. This has already been proved. Um, Although there are different shapes and different features, so if you try to study the nature of tree, then we can know that there are different materials consisting the tree, and even human, and even diamonds. Is diamond the metal made of carbon? Yes, it is. So it's just a lump of carbons. So even a human, so when you burn a human body after that, then a lot of carbons are being produced and they make a fake diamond, and they also make a fake necklace, and they wear the necklace. So you're actually wearing the carbon from your mother's body, and they also say it's a fashion. So when you actually study, you feel that they are all different metals, but if you analyze them, then the final stage of all the materials, then when you're in the end, then this just changes into energy form, and here this will change into plus or minus or zero, and after that it will fall into the voidness. So if you study this in an opposite way, then all the scientists they say, because everything changes, so if you just apply the mechanism of change, then you just have a big vending machine and you just press a button, and if 10 minutes passes by, then there's nothing inside, but because of the change, or because of the change in form, due to if you just know the mechanism of change of dharma, then maybe after 10 minutes a human body will be formed, or rice will be formed. That's what scientists think, but that's what I thought too. So even the thing called agni, when it's first produced, is same as when the creature is first produced. Then in the beginning, one single molecule, when it's formed, there is a nature in that living thing called in the nature of survival, and there's no reason for this, and from here it begins. So after some time it returns back to its original form, and when even that disappears, then even the creatures, we know that there is no creature that existed. So we know that in Panya Paramita we just say that there is no human body form, and there is nothing that's void, and there is no sense of realization or reflection, or there's also no six senses too. So there's also no opponent. So even the world that we see with our eyes, due to the log relations, we see the object and the color gets reflected, so there's nothing. So there is no thought, there is no hearing, there is no sight, there is no smelling, there is no speech, so there is nothing. So even the thing called nothing, absence, and even the consequence of the thought that we have to survive, that is also a result of repetition. So unless until our life form exists, they will never disappear. And if we say it exists, then they exist in this way. And also when we say there's ignorance, then even the heart does not exist there. But when you are looking at the voidness into the center, in the center, then aging and also getting sick and also dying, they are also not there. But unless until you exist in this world, then it is not possible not to have aging and sickness and death. And they're talking about this prior paramita. They're talking about this in prior paramita. So they're actually talking about the voidness. So all phenomenon, whether the form of changing, the goodness or evil, everything is specific. Although they look in a different form, they have arise from the voidness. So even the entrance to the evil or goodness is also voidness, but they cannot actually enter from darkness or evil, because evilness itself is agni, and so it cannot start from the voidness. But on the other hand, trying to remove yourself from agni or darkness or evil, it is the goodness, and only when you are performing the goodness, it will begin as enacting the goodness. And when we say goodness, it is something that is for others, and doing good for yourself, it is not doing good for others is not possible unless until you empty yourself from it. But a lot of Buddhist believers, they forget these great teachings, but they tend to believe that by chasing after their greed, they believe in Buddha, and in this way they become more evil, and that's why the Buddhist or your belief fails, because you're in selfishness. But when you're actually performing the goodness, whether it is in your heart or in a material way, you have to empty yourself, and if you do not detach yourself from others, it is not possible, and the amount of your attachment or the amount of your detachment you can pass forward, and if you move forward, then only that amount you can detach yourself. If you do not do that, you cannot even take a step away, and that is someone, and if so, you cannot say that you are actually practicing Buddhism. You cannot say that you are someone who believes in Buddhism. You're not believing in Buddha like Buddha is a ghost, but we actually believe in Buddha's teachings, and we follow Buddha's teachings, and in that way your greed deteriorates, and in that way you are doing good for others. Is it your daughter? Your daughter is about 200 times prettier than your mother. Later, buy me dinner or lunch. You buy it for me. I have done something that I will not go hungry for half a day. She's also pretty, and that is also because she's pretty, and also because the rest of us are all wrinkled and old. But those young people, even if they are not pretty, they look pretty. But it doesn't mean you're not pretty. So the act of enacting goodness itself is teaching yourself. So I keep telling that if I use all my luck, which is even very less, if we eat everything that we want to eat, but if you compare it to in olden times, then we know that we are eating very well. Even the teeth, and even if we lose our teeth, then we even do the implant and we bite, we chew. In olden times, when you become old, then there's nothing to eat, and also you lose all the teeth, and you cannot even digest well. But nowadays, everything you eat so well, but a lot of people say they do not enjoy everything that they can, but from my opinion, I think they all are living a very lucky life. I was very surprised because the number of cars in Yeosu is more than the entire number of cars in North Korea. Everywhere that you go, you see cars. In downtown, you see a lot of different cars. And even in country where we do not have a drop of petrol, they even buy steel and they build cars. And in one house, there are about 2 to 3 cars. A lot of people say that if there is no car, then they cannot even live properly. But that is not true. Think about the time when you're a tadpole. It's just like a frog cannot think of it when they are tadpoles. Even if you don't have it, you can survive. You're busy on your own, but you're not as busy as the president. If you try to reduce it, you can of course reduce everything. And those people who drive a car, they try to go in as much as they can onto the path that they can drive. In our monastery, we have all the toilets a little far, and I believe that a lot of people, they will drive car to go to their bathrooms. But like that, when we say that you are doing something goodness, even when you are trying to give away to others, that is only possible. Even the offering, that is only possible if you empty yourself. If you say that I have understood that how great I am, but you do not understand, but in that way you cannot offer the teachings. And that's why in Korean Buddhism, when we say you have become an ascetic, we say they throw a lot of questions, because after thousands of sayings, they miss out all the 1,000 sayings, but they just say one last saying, and that's why no one is able to understand. I am such a great being, and you do not understand. That's why they just say one thing. Long before I said it happened in Hao Monastery, so there an old monk was teaching, and he came and he just brought a stick and said like, do you understand? And one very old sattva was crying, and so I thought she understood. And so after we left the place, and I asked her, so how was the teaching today? It was very gracious teaching, and so I asked, I don't know what was the teaching about. She said, well, I'm not really sure. I heard it too. There is someone who says that he seems to have gained enlightenment. He says that he has gained enlightenment, and those people who go there, they don't understand what he is teaching. So actually, all the believers, they say that Buddhism is something that you don't actually understand. So not understanding is teaching. You write Buddha's teaching in this way. We write Bodhi in this way. In Chinese letter, that is Bodhi. And we say those people who teach the teachings of Buddha is this way, but you can also twist it the Chinese letters in the other way. So this means you're not actually teaching. If you commit crimes in real life, you're becoming arrested. So he should also be arrested. So those 10 believers I asked in that monastery, and they were like, Buddhist teaching is something that cannot be understood, and so I asked, what is it that you don't know? But they don't know what is it that they don't know. So they were just in ignorance. So if she says, I'm going home, but I don't know where is my home, that means she doesn't know where her home is. But she doesn't know, she knows that she doesn't know, but she doesn't know what she doesn't know. And that is the Buddhist teaching. And that is not actually a Buddhist teaching. So when you're talking about Buddhist teachings, if you ask those people who work in monastery, they usually say, oh, well, I don't know so much about Buddhist teachings. You should not say you don't know about Buddhist teachings. Why is that you don't know? You don't know because you haven't studied. You talk it so proudly as if you that not knowing Buddhism is something to boast up. And also those people who meditate, I don't know about the doctrines. But actually, if you have meditated and you have meditated, then you should know about the Buddhist doctrines. That also doesn't make sense. So the goodness and evil, so you cannot enter into voidness with evil. So you have to perform the goodness, and you have to detach yourself from agony and attachment, and the evilness disappears, and even the goodness that has led the way should disappear, and that way you enter into voidness. So that is the goodness for all sentient beings, and we also call that the good knowledge. So those kind of people, they do not have evilness because all the evilness has disappeared. So all Korean people, because they have entered into a capitalist society, when I talk to you people, I feel that the first thing I feel is that when I talk about something, you turn it into merchandising way. That's how your brain changes or evolves, and I don't like it so much. A person, while living, a person should be rigid, and also he should go his way. closing your eyes in a big way. If you think that your business will do better if you by going church, you go to church. And if you think that you'll become mayor, if you mayor of the city, if you go to church, then you'll go to church. And the politician Lee Hui-chang, he used to come to monastery, and when he and pretend to pray when he doesn't know even how to recite Praya Paramita. You should not do things like that. Even if the changing form of goodness and evil, although they are in different form, they have all arise from voidness. So voidness is something that you cannot look at with your eyes as a principal agent and object, and also you cannot look at it from subjectiveness and objectiveness. So this part, the dual part, we can talk about this for 2 days. Do we have matchbox? I'll explain to you once again. Do we have matchbox? Even those who smoke, they don't carry the matchbox around. Please turn it off. In the matchstick, is there a fire or not? If there is no fire, then how does it arise? Then you should not say it doesn't exist. If you say it doesn't exist, then it is already absolute. When you say it is not there, then the condition that it is not there is already given. And why is something that you said is not there has arisen? Something that is there should not disappear. I'll ask once again, is it there or not? Your answer is about 20% correct. If the condition is correct, then it arises. In this stage, if you say the fire exists, then the fire should be there. But if you say fire does not exist, then even if you try to light it up, it should not happen, because something that is not there should not arise. Because something that is not there cannot come, but at this time, at this stage, it is the stage of the fire's voidness. When you say the voidness of the fire, when I don't have it, at this time, in this stage, when I have nothing, I cannot say it is the voidness of the fire. But at this time, I need to have the thought of lighting fire, and I need to have the sulfur, and also there should be something that causes the fire. But fire has not yet not come. Although the conditions are given, but amongst many different conditions, the fire did not came because I did not do this condition, and because of that the fire hasn't come. But this stage or this state is the voidness of the fire. Is it correct or not? when you say it is there, it has not yet aroused, and when you say it it is not there, that even if I do this, it should not come. But we tend to believe that it is something that is there and there is not there, and because we think of it this way, everything becomes too extreme, and so the voidness, we cannot say the fire does not exist, but we cannot also say the fire exists. Why is it so? Because the harmony of the relation is not yet met. If the relation is met, then the fire can be caused, and if the relation is finished, the fire could die. Let's look at another one here. This sulfur and this friction board and this branch, this twig of the tree. When I do this, the fire is caused, and this, by lighting the fire, which is arise this manner, it has arise because of the relation, and when the fire is absent, then what relation does it have with the voidness? What relation does it have with the voidness? This matchstick itself, the twig, the sulfur, the match, the friction board, because of the friction they have caused, the fire is caused. And so do not look at the fire only, but also look at the conditions, and they are also part of the voidness. And so you cannot talk about the voidness separately and the conditions separately. You cannot segregate them into two different parts, because without the fire, without those conditions, the fire cannot be caused. But all the conditions, the condition itself, they are all voidness. When I light it, the fire is caused, and the sulfur burns, and even the twig is burnt. And when it's burned, it returns back to voidness. But they return to their voidness, and the twig and sulfur, but they have not detached themselves from the voidness. It itself is the voidness, but voidness changes. And because of that, those conditions are formed. And when the conditions go away, they go back into nothing, and that's why we say it's like a shadow. It's like a shadow, and it's like a dream. If you look at it from the time frame, then it is something that is like a dream. It is not a it is not, if you say if it's not a shadow and if it's a real, then they should, after it is burned, it should not disappear, it should not turn into ashes. But when you do that, it actually all disappears. And just like that, we exist in the same formula. When you talk about voidness as something that all our desires and all our life is met and it ends, how about it? We are proceeding our path towards the death. We are not actually away from voidness. Although we are alive, we have never really detached ourselves from death. Those who you think that you have always been away from death, please raise your hand. There is no reason to be attached to it, and there's no reason to have trouble over it. Because you target your dharmas, your harsh dharmas is your goal of your life, Because of that, you tend to have heartbreaks for something that disappear over time. I'll do a small experiment. If I turn this around, which is the busiest part? Is it the inside part or the outside? Outside, it's the busiest. Even when you're doing a march in the military, those people in the outside part, they are very busy. If you have to go around, then those in the end, they have to follow fast. And so if sometimes when the front they go fast and those following in the back, they are very busy. And even this thing called dharma, the more it comes to your center, it moves less, and the more external part it is, it moves in a more harsh manner. What is it outside? Power, money. There is something that is not even related to you and that is far away, and it's as if you're turning around. It's like so. You in the speed of the light, it disappears like 10 millions of money. When you are actually doing this, if I make a bigger round, then what happens to the end? It will, if I do this, then it will hit here and there. But a lot of people, because the outside corner is being shaken, because and if your thoughts are centered at earning money, then if it becomes a little more serious, then you try to cheat, and if it becomes a little more serious, then you will try to commit crime, and if it becomes more serious, then you try to attain a very high title and try to eat a lot of money. Some Mr. John has done that, and in a very big multinational company, he said, "Mr. President, please use this when you're having difficulty. What kind of difficulty can a person have?" And they give 500 millions of dollars and buy candy 10 millions. How can there be a candy worth 10 million? So the things which are outside, if it is shaken, then if you heard it somewhere in money or power, then if your heart is shaken as much as your greed is shaken, then that person will either commit suicide or die sooner. What do you have to do in order to move it at a slower speed? It's easy. You don't have to rotate it. When I have my hand like this, does it move? It doesn't. When I think, oh, I have to earn money, then it goes around. But if I don't, it stops. Doesn't it? What to do with my child? Oh, he's he and I'm I. He should live as per his luck. They either stay still. And it's the same, even our body. Our body also moves at the speed of about 80 years, and I think it is also a body that moves at the speed of 80 kilometers per hour. We are aging at the speed of 80 kilometers per hour. Our body, when you think about it, and if our heart is also shaken, then although it is short, it moves very fast. I have to survive. 1, 2, 1, 2, I should exercise. 1, 2, 1, 2, I should also eat good things. Let's go to spring water. It's good for body. And when you're actually trying to go, then your heart and your whole heart is shaken, and your whole body is also shaken, and you lose focus of your eyes, and you also face dementia. So the mind inside, because our heart is residing somewhere where we are very far, and even families, even if it's families, just think about it as something that you have good relation and so you're living together, but it is not something like you have to have a lot of arguments or things together. If you should just have thought that you respect your parents, and if the parents have those good parents, they should have no attachment to the kids. They should just be satisfied with bringing them up in a good manner. The problem is if the children does not try to live with your parents, the problem is the fact that it's because your heart is disabled. How many siblings do you have? You have one younger brother. Okay, then who is going to live with your parents? You have not yet given a thought about it. You should start thinking about it. You should not say that, oh, mother, father, I'm busy and so I cannot come. You should think about space to live together with your parents. Those people living in apartments, I think if you try to build an apartment with my thought, then of course it will not be sold. Like if you try to build an apartment with a separate room for your parents, you just say that the apartment is too expensive, and so you're not trying to buy the apartment. But you have to thought about it in prior to buying the place for you to live. In olden times, even when you are the highest minister to the king, if your parents are sick, then and if you say, "Great King, Your Majesty, my parents are ill, and so I need to go and take care of my parents," and when you say you are the minister, or when you say to your servant of the king, if the king says you should not go, then you should not go. If you disobey the king, you could also be killed. But the minister can go on his own for two reasons. One is if he's sick, and the second reason is if his parents are sick. If the king blocks the minister from going to visit his parents, then the king becomes a very, very bad king. And so when you are young, you should try to see, or you should try to spend as more time with your parents as possible. And even apartments, when you are building them, you should try to build apartments so that you can live with your parents, or you can have a room next to it, very close to you, where your where your parents can live. So if when they want to cook on their own, they can cook, and if they want to come to your place and eat, they can. But I've never heard about those places being built. And I think it is because the law of supply and demand. And I think if you build an apartment like that, then the apartment will not be sold. You should know how merchandising costs they have. If you think that it is not good business, then they will not do it. You should discuss with your younger brother and try to prepare for it very soon. If you say that I'm daughter and that's why I don't have to have my parents together with me, but you try to have a same property from your parents. Do you have something to inherit to your kids? Do not give it to them. They should earn on their own. But if you think that you have to inherit to them, then that is same like Kim Il Sung. Kim Il Sung has taken half the country and given to his kids. It's a very bad person. If they don't try to earn it, if they don't earn it by their own hard work, then you should let them live a poor life. I don't think it's a proper thing to live with the money of your parents. Right now, the inheritance tax is 30%, but if I have it, then it will be 100%, and that too, I will have it for the sales price, and that's why I don't think anyone will try to make me a president. If you say the sales price is about 100 million, but if you say the actual sales price is 150 million, then I will ask them to pay $150 million worth tax price. And the children, they can do their own business and survive. I think about two things can be given to their children. About two things: the good DNA, and second, how to become a human. Becoming a human, everything is formed in the family, because even the DNA is similar, and they also follow how their parents live. And if the father is alcoholic, then there's about two kids. Two different categories. The first one is drinking well together. The second one is having hatred for the alcohol. Both of them are not normal. There's also a problem if you say my kid does not even drink because my father drank too much. Because here you cannot actually adapt to the social life, and so those two things can be inherited to their children. If you give money, in Buddhism we say the dog is wearing the skin of the elephant. The virtue of the person is about the dog, but if you are wearing the virtue of your father, which is like the elephant, then because of that you will suffocate to death. And even when you're making a porridge, if you have boiled a whole utensil full of the porridge, and if you try to put it in a single bowl, then everything will overflow and there will be nothing to eat. And so when you give a lot of money to those people who do not try to work hard, then when they have reached the time that they're about their death, they realize the reality. Before, I heard from someone that there's no reason to give anything to their children, and I asked why, and he said if the person has good dharma, and then he'll find on their own. And if the person has very bad dharma, then no matter how much I give, that will not be happening. And I think that's actually true. everything depends as per how much your capacity. So you should not segregate them. So even though the twig and also the friction board and also the sulfur, they are all part of the voidness, not only the fire, but they are actually the conditions of the fire, of the voidness. But if the conditions are not right, then when you have actually tried to light up the fire, then there is no difference. But when there is actually a change, then we can understand that there is a relation between the relation and the conditions. Voidness is actually the free state from its original, its essence. Dalai Lama, when he's teaching, he gives us very minute details. So what is a voidness? If you talk about it again, if you look at it from the practitioner's point of view, it is actually freedom from object. Why is it free? Because there's no part of attachment. A lot of people misunderstand the freedom, and they say, oh, I'm 20 years old now, and so I'm going to smoke, I'm going to drink. And while smoking and drinking, can you be free from smoking and drinking? You cannot be free. You're free if you don't do these things. When you're not doing the things, harmful things, then you're actually free. Why is it so? Because if you don't do that, then no matter how much you hate them or like them, it does not matter to you because it has got nothing to do with you. But your neighbor, if they drink and if they fight, think about it. Even Sarah fairies, those families, because of their alcohol, they have problem. If the personality is not being formed, then at the most important part, you face problems because they were having a very emotional time, and so after drinking, the driver who was called to drive, of course he could be upset because after being called, he was waiting there for 30 minutes. For 30 minutes, he could have taken another driving round, and it seems like the member of parliament who was present, it seemed like he was not a very good person. But for the driver, what was for him to realize? Why would he want to know? For him, it's all about money, because the person who was actually together, then he say, how can you talk like that to a member of parliament? And they started hitting him. You should take away his member of parliament license, not the license, his title. Just because he's member of parliament, he doesn't have he has no right to place others into trouble, and in this manner you can never be free from alcohol. And those conservative media, they have tried to frame it in other way, but actually they have given the cause for the argument. They try to manipulate everything. And they have done it, they have caused trouble, and so they have actually given the good conditions for Seoul Ferry families to negotiate. And I thought those families of Seoul Ferry were actually the member of Seoul party, the Senuri party, because they have given them a favor for the part of negotiation. If you say for no matter what reason, if you drink and if you hit others, then because the essence itself is being disrupted, and so uh, and so if you're having that kind of activity, then you should always try to have a better or more clear mindset and try to have a better behavior. And so being free or freedom, if they didn't drink and if they just ate dinner and came out, then of course they would have a little more self-tolerance. But the thing is, if they had fought with other people, they could also cause a lot of problems. But he has actually, they have actually hit a driver, which is more serious issue. So voidness is actually free from an object. Why is it free? Because there's no attachment and greed, and also there's no misunderstanding. So the object, whether it's I and also the thought of I, you should be free from it. If you're not free from it because you have agony and also attachment, then it is a big problem. If your legs hurt, then please stretch your legs. But even here, we have not even finished 2 paragraphs. The contents are very good. Object depends on the cause and also conditions. We are talking about all objects having no actual character, but they depend on the condition and cause. So all the phenomena that we face right now is actually arising from the voidness. When you are talking about voidness, the things that we talk about is not different phenomena that has arisen, but we are actually talking about the essential reality of the phenomenon. So all the essential part for everything existing is actually voidness. Everything has arisen from the essence of voidness. So the emptiness and also existence together, you cannot actually talk about them too separately, and you cannot talk about them in theory. In this opinion, Nagarjuna's middle part, as is explained clearly in the introduction part, voidness is a free state from the speech previously, or even the attachment. And so we are talking about freedom from all philosophies and also all attachment. All phenomena arise from dependent arising. They are not created. They do not extinct. There is nothing eternal. They do not break. They do not come and they do not go. And they are also not the same, and they are also not different. This is the very first part of the middle part, middle way. We pay the deepest respect to the Buddha's teaching for teaching us how to put down all the meaningless arguments of the world. The rest I'm going to explain next class. The donations, please participate actively, and I hope we could do both Ladakh and Spiti together. I wish to give them one cloth for both Ladakh and Spiti. Please give it to them.
이쪽 반, 저쪽 반. 그리고 그 하실 때 그 이름을 가사 불사하는
And let's try to have one per a person.
그 이름을
Please write your date of birth in lunar calendar, and please also write your name in English. I will try to have a little prayer.